absolutely wonderful. And so we'll get started and I welcome you. So the first thing I do want to kind of mention to you guys is if you have questions and you happen to be on YouTube, what I need you to do is to email dena@danaestates.org. So that's where you want to send those questions to if you happen to be on YouTube. You email it to dana@danaestates.org. So I'm going to keep it up there for a moment so you guys can write that down, because again, we're going to have our wonderful, wonderful Laura Hoffmeister, our city council member, who's going to speak. And of course, you can ask her any questions you want. And then
wonderful.
also we have Andrew Pierce here from Mosquito Vector, who again, any questions you want, if you got a mouse thing, you want to know who that icky bug is, yeah, he'll have the answer.
Great. We already have some questions for our panelists.
Oh, wonderful. They're coming in. And Scott's going to be our person who's going to ask questions when that time comes, which is great. So if you do have questions, you can put it in the chat box. But I do ask that you keep yourself muted at all times. But at a time that if you do have a question that you may want to ask, just go ahead and raise your hand and we can even put you through if you want to ask a question live. We can potentially do that as well, okay? So let's go ahead and get started. Whoops, go back. First thing I want to do is I want to thank Lydia and Scott Smith. Why? Because they have been on the board for a very long time. And Lydia and Scott are both retiring. They're moving as well, but they're retiring from their regular jobs as well. They have done so much for this neighborhood. Lydia is like one of the best vice chairs you could ever ask for. Whenever I go wacko, which I was doing tonight, she gets me level. She's wonderful. And Scott, I can't say enough about him. He is a person who has done the dumpster monitoring or the dumpster organizing, the coordinator for the dumpsters for the last 6 years, actually. He's been since he started on the board. And he has been absolutely joyous to work with, because he steps up when he needs to. He's got that calming voice. He does so much. But they both promised that they would be here for the Dana Night Out if it's live again next year. So thank you guys. And I want to applaud you guys, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. I do love you both so much. Next reason now is we need board members. We really do. We're losing Scott and Lydia, and we really need board members. So if you want to join, it's an hour and a half once a month. That's it. And you get July off. This year we worked July because of COVID, but usually you get July off, but it's only an hour and a half, and then December's off too, by the way. It's an hour and a half. That's it. That's all we ask for, is an hour and a half of your time if you want to be part of be on the board. Just email me at chair@dana.states.org, and we would love to have you. Also, we need newsletter deliverers. We've got most of my newsletter deliverers. I love you guys so much. You guys are great and wonderful. I'm telling you, we couldn't function without you. But we do have some areas in Area 1 and Area 5 that need people to deliver newsletters. If you want to help monitor dumpsters, if you want to help with the garage sale, if you want to help with the Dana Night Out when we're live again next year, which I know we will be, I'm having positive thoughts there. We need a volunteer coordinator to call our volunteers. We need somebody to put up signs, because yes, Scott did that too. Or anything that you want to do, email me at chair@danaestates.org. We'll find a place for you so that you can help enrich our neighborhood as well, like you all do every day. Also, I wanted to bring up our lighting contest. Last year we had a lighting contest for Christmas lights. This year, or holiday lights. This year we're going to do the same. So if you're interested in joining it, you don't have to be extravagant. We put it in 3 categories, so it can be moderate. You know, you can go. So we could basically put it into 3 different categories so that everybody has a chance to win. The newsletter that will be coming out at the beginning of December will have that information in it. You just basically put up your lights and let us know. Yeah, I got lights up. I want to be part of it. And I'm going to be going around with YouTube and taking videos of all of our Christmas lights this year and having a real fun holiday party. So I'm real excited about that. So with that being said, Scott, is there any questions for us at this point?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and turn it over actually to Laura Hoffmeister, our city council member. Laura, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Hey, did you have a presentation or are you just going to talk?
I'm just going to talk. Do you want to switch and take off your PowerPoint slide or so they can see me, or you want to leave that up?
That's exactly what I'm going to do. So hang on one moment. I'm going to go ahead and do that right now.
I think you're on a share screen. I just think you need to take off share screen.
Yeah, I'm going to take share screen off. I just have to take it off. Onto my share screen. I'll figure out how to do this. Files, nope. Share screen. I'm new to this, okay? Stop sharing. Hey, that's easy.
There
Okay,
you go.
there you go. Okay. So Laura, go ahead.
Yes, hello, everybody. Thank you very much for joining in this evening. Good to see so many people participating either via YouTube or on this. I already had a question that I answered at the beginning while you were starting your introductions, and I just want to put out to folks. The question was, am I meeting with individuals? And if so, how can people get in touch with me to set up an individual meeting? And absolutely, no socially distance. We can meet in person, outdoors, coffee shop, whatever suits you. And you can best to reach me is to send a text or give me a phone call on my cell phone, which is 925-250-8532. We can find a mutual date, time, and place to get together and connect. If it's something in particular of a topic you want to discuss, if I had that information in advance, if there's any research I need for staff to look into, that way I'll have a chance for them to look into it. So when we meet, I'll be able to give you full information. So just want to put that out there to everybody. Yes, I am reachable and meetable. So thank you for the question. A couple of things, it's been an interesting, we've got March, April, May, June, July, August, September, 7 months. Going on month 8 here, of things that we weren't expecting, obviously back when we did the budget and mid-year review in January. So the city's finances are obviously strained because of the additional impacts of COVID. They were tight to begin with. So the staff is certainly looking into our budget. And when we look at our budget come this June, it'll be definitely a different type of a picture because we've lost obviously a lot of retail sales tax revenue, revenue from the movie theaters and similar setups. Our restaurants, obviously, we've worked really hard with our chamber to allow those that want to use outdoor dining as an option, either in their parking lots or in some of the areas downtown, to help facilitate that so that they could get additional seating in outdoors. And the good news was last week on Tuesday, the county has allowed 25% occupancy inside the restaurants and inside a movie theater. So that's up to the restaurants to implement that if they want to. Some of them are not comfortable with doing that, or their places may be too small, and with the number of staff they have, they can't keep social distancing in place. But that's something that did change. And another change that happened statewide was last Thursday, I believe it was, the state allowed all outdoor playgrounds to be reopened in the state of California. So different cities are rolling that out. They've been closed for a long time, so there's mandatory safety inspections that had to be done in our playgrounds. And I'm happy to state that in Concord, we quickly jumped on that, and the outdoor playgrounds for most respects were open on Friday, and associated restrooms as well. So those are now available to the public under the state guidelines, which is recommended that you don't have your children out there for more than 30 minutes on the equipment. You're responsible for hand sanitizing of your children after they play on it. They're supposed to wear masks if they're over 2 years old. I know, try to tell a 3 or 4 year old to keep a mask on when they're playing on the equipment is a tough one. But also to, try to stay socially distanced. Hopefully Not a lot of people are using it all at one time, and it's self-metered and self-monitored. So just take appropriate precautions out there, and hopefully the kids will get some areas to play and climb and run about and spend some of that energy that they've been bottled up with for several months. So that's progress, and that's good news, and that will stay in place as long as the state levels and the county levels are under control, which at this time it's looking fairly good. And if we stay in this category we're in the red category now for another almost 2 weeks, a week and a half more, we should be able to roll to the next category down, which I believe is orange, and that'll allow more things and more occupancy loads to open up. The indoor retail centers are now at 50% occupancy if they so choose. So the mall and some of the other businesses can now, for retail, can have 50% occupancy. So that's also progress. So a couple of other things that we've been working on is as we've heard a lot about homelessness in our community, as well as everywhere in the state, nationwide, but in our county in particular, Concord has taken the lead to reach out to the county to talk about different models that we might be able to utilize, because we understand and we know a lot of the homeless on the street have mental issues or have mental compromises. And our core team, which we partnered with Walnut Creek, and we both spend about $50,000 to $80,000 each to fund a couple of members to go out and address homelessness by finding them and giving them information about what resources are available to them and connecting them to the county to take advantage of those resources. Sometimes that doesn't work because we have mental health condition individuals. So we're looking at another model that's been used elsewhere and working with the county on what would be a mental health evaluation team, which would also be able to accompany CORE or work separately or work in conjunction with certain types of calls that might come into the police department where there's really a situation where somebody has more of an emotional or mental health issue rather than a criminal issue. So we're looking at that model with the county, and also looking at ways it might be able to be funded, whether there's grants out there or whether it's something that we would have to look at if that's a program we want to try to pilot, what the cost would be and how we might be able to fund that. So that's progress that we're working on. Over the next couple of months, we should have more information from the county in terms of what those options and those funding sources might look like. We've done a lot of work in COVID related to needs in the region and in our community with temporary homeless housing, using business grants and providing personal protective equipment for employees and our city staff, as well as our staff having to respond to COVID, and also moving our recreation program offerings, a lot of them into some virtual format online. So we've been having to really rethink how the city provides services and how we conduct business. And a lot of our business is now done online through our building department and planning departments. Appointments are still available, and people can still sometimes drop off things through a Dropbox in person, and then the staff will pick it up and respond back to them by phone, or set up a time where they can come in and pick up information. So we're trying to minimize the employees at City Hall. They're working mostly remotely, with some of them coming in on particular days of the week and scheduling them so everybody can be safe in the work environment there. And a couple of other items of note would be the Coast Guard housing, which is off of Olivera there across from the Willow Pass Park property. That property, we had an arrangement with a developer to put an offer into the Coast Guard to purchase the property by the private developer sector. And the appraisals that we received, fair market appraisals, were submitted to the Coast Guard. The Coast Guard rejected all of them. Usually you get 3 appraisals, and often it's the average of the 3 that's used as a baseline, but there was no interest by the Coast Guard on those appraisals. They thought that the price was way too low. They felt that the property had value for the existing improvements on it, which we were able to show them that there wasn't much value on the existing improvements. But they feel that it could be sold at a higher price point, and they have gone out to auction on those, public auction on that property. And you might have seen an ad in the newspaper or online requesting interest. And my understanding is it's close to, I think, $500,000. It's been varied by the Coast Guard, anywhere from $100,000 to $500,000 to put your name in as an interested party, to even go out and look at the property or have a field trip of the property to see if you want to pursue it further. I believe that is a refundable deposit, but they're really looking for strong interest. They've been out for about 2 to 3 weeks on that, and they've had no interest at this point in time, from what we understand from the private sector, to purchase the property through the auction process. And then the city will still retain land use control of whatever happens on that property through a normal process, through our land use process. If there's going to be new development there or rehab of existing development. Those buildings, the 2-story buildings that are out there, a lot of people have asked, why can't we just, they be reused? There's been a couple of fires out there. Firefighters have fallen between the floors because they are not built to any state codes or regulations. They were built by the federal government for housing for the Coast Guard. And they are not required to build, to provide insulation, to do anything that meets state building codes at the time they were built, let alone today's requirements. And then moving on the Concord Naval Weapons Station front, as you recall, we last left off on that where Lennar and the city parted company. Lennar was our preferred master developer, selected master developer. We had gone through a pretty extensive process with them, got to a particular point in time, and Lennar wanted to make determinations as to whether or not the city council was still interested in them being a partner. And the majority of the council decided to part company with them and start a new process. And so we as a city council will be discussing on December 10th, a way to go forward on the Naval Weapons Station property, absence the Coast Guard piece, as to how would we restart the Naval Weapons Station process? What would that look like? How would we go about it? And we will continue that conversation more than likely on to January 8th as well. So those are the 2 dates you might want to mark on your calendar if you're interested in, and I'm sure you all are, on what's happening on that. And I would say you might want to put down as a placeholder. Our meetings typically start at 6:30, but you can check the city's website or sign up to be subscribed to agenda notification if you want to get the specific time frame. But typically we start at 6:30, and sometime after 6:30 we would have that conversation, probably closer to 7 o'clock. Sometimes we'll do it as a workshop at 6:30, but wanted to alert you to those 2 items as well that will be coming up in the near future. And that's pretty much what I've got on my list. I know we've gotten a lot of requests from all over town about, still concerned about potholes in our streets and our pavement conditions. And we are definitely aware of them. It's just a matter of the needs are greater than the funds allow. And we have a very prescribed program where we look at which streets need to get resurfacing and when. And it's over a 5-year plan. And we reevaluate that plan every year, typically in springtime. So April or May would be when the next time is that information comes forward, looking at the pavement conditions out there and assessing which ones are in what condition. And the idea is to also disperse some of that funding throughout all areas of Concord so that not one area is getting all of the funding. So that we try to identify road areas in each segments of our community that need some repairs done on them. So that's, again, we know there's more work that needs to be done and more work than funds allow. And so we just try to go through and prioritize the best we can with the funds available. And then again, dispersing the funds in different areas of the community so that each section of the community can have some road work done on almost an annual basis, but it's maybe every 2 to 3 years, just depending on how the funding flows for street improvements. There's not a lot of new federal funding. There's not any new federal funding coming down for roadway improvements at this point in time. That may change in the future, depending on where the federal government goes as to whether or not we see more infrastructure funding coming down, especially for roadways. A lot of it's been focused on water infrastructure, especially to lower income areas that don't have good potable water i.e. the Flint, Michigan issue where there was lead in the water. So there's been a lot of monies focused around that area, but not as much in the roadway area. So that's what I have to report, and I'd be happy to answer any questions anybody has from the Dana Estates neighborhood or who's listening in tonight. Oh, Colleen, you're on mute.
Laura, can you hear me? This is Scott.
Yes.
Laura, Palo with Dana Estates, he has an interest in chatting with you on mobile. Just wanted to relay that to you.
He has an interest in talking to me about what?
He's chatting using a mobile.
He wants
Using
to
a cell
talk on the phone.
I sent him, I think he was, is that the one who I gave the message back to?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Oh, I
yeah,
gave him my number.
Yep, it is.
Yeah. I
Yep.
gave him my phone number. Did he not get it?
No, he needs that number from you again.
Okay. Well, if he's listening, let me give it to everybody again. Feel free to write it down. And you can certainly text it to set up a time, or, we can connect. It's 925-250-8532. Hopefully Paleo got that.
Yep. If not, I will email it to him so he has it.
Yeah. I thought he got it because I responded to the chat.
Yep.
Yeah, you're able to see the chat?
Yes. Oh,
Yes.
He says thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, he has it.
I just wanted to make sure.
Yes.
If
Thanks,
I could
Laura.
just real quickly step in here just for a second. If you are on YouTube, because we have a lot of people on YouTube, according to my daughter's report, which is really wonderful. So welcome, YouTubers. You can either, if you chat in the chat box there, if my daughter sees one, she'll come out and whisper it to me. Or you can actually email again, Dana, DENA @danaestates.org, the question, and we will have the question in order to give it to Laura. One person, by the way, did ask Laura. They said that there's a lot of speeders on Sattler, and they want to know what can be done about that because they've talked about it a lot.
Sure. Thanks for the question. Best bet would be to contact the city's police department. The challenge we always have with speeding is when we have a police car there that's visible, people tend to do the speed limit. And when the police car goes away, people don't see the car and they tend to exceed a little bit the speed. What is helpful to the police department to best deploy resources is if there's a particular time of day. I know in the old days when kids got out of school, sometimes people would say it's between 2:30 and 3:30 or 3 and 4, or if it's in the morning commute or the evening commute, we could try to target resources to the time period that it's most prevalently happening. And that's the best way to go about doing it. I'm not sure our radar trailer is working, but we often have a radar trailer that we can put out to try to alert people to slow down. Again, it's just education. Sometimes when that goes away, people don't pay attention to it. It's been very strange with COVID because with less cars on the street, there's less traffic, and that tends to drive up the speed limits as well. That's being seen on the freeways. It's being seen on Clayton Road, Treat Boulevard. Now that things are getting a little bit more congested, the speed limits are starting to drop back a bit. But that would be one way to reach out. And you can certainly contact me if you don't get a connection at the police department.
Sure, that person's happy about that answer. So you can do that on Beechwood too. I live on Beechwood, guys. Now you know where I live. They speed up and down this street as well, but.
And it depends what you think about speeding. I mean, if it's 30 miles over, or is it 35, 40, 50, what is speeding? And a lot of times when cars do 30, people think they're doing 40 or 50. There's a perception out there that cars are going faster sometimes than what they really are doing. But regardless, we can typically do some targeted enforcement to try to send a message, but we can't be out there 24/7. I know everybody would like to have their own police car sitting there dealing with speeders on their own street all day long.
Yep.
And we don't have that luxury, unfortunately.
Unfortunately.
I did have one person one time, and I will share this with you. They put in one of those safety vests on, and they sat down in a chair. They looked like they were official, and they took a blow dryer without the cord on the end, and it looked like they were taking radar, doing radar speed survey checks with a clipboard. Scared the bejeebies out of the neighborhood, thinking that somebody was out there checking speeders, just doing a speed survey.
That's funny.
And I have found from residents that have put up signs where they say, slow kids are here. Apparently, the public responds to, my pet is here, my dog is here. Don't hit my dog more than kids.
I agree. People do.
I've
seem
seen
to-
somebody put a duck crossing sign in front of their house, out on a little pylon, what do you call them? The little pylons, the little orange cones. They put that on there and stuck it out, by their car. And that people tend to slow down thinking that there was ducks. I think they were looking for the ducks crossing.
That's a good idea, actually. Another question I got because of what you're saying right now is they'd like to know if how far out you can put the kids playing sign onto the street.
Oh, I would say where your car is parked. So that you keep the travel lane free. I'm assuming it's a street that you could park on both sides of the street, a typical residential neighborhood street. So you'd want to keep it, don't try not to put it in the middle of the street. But most people that I've seen do it. They often have their car parked and then they put it right like by their front bumper, their rear bumper, or somewhere where a car would basically park, in that area.
Thank you. That seems to be the questions here. Scott, do you have any more questions?
No, I don't. Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, you have my cell number, so if something comes up or you think of something or you just want to meet, feel free to reach out to me. And again, if there's a topic in particular that I might need to check in with staff and get some information on, let me know that too when we connect, and I'll make sure I get the info to you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Laura. So appreciate you.
Well, thank you guys for continuing to
Thank you,
meet
Laura.
and connect. We appreciate that you guys are still staying connected as a neighborhood and still trying to, keep it going. And that's important, that we don't lose those connections and those efforts that have already been put into place, especially by neighborhoods associations such as yours that have had such a long history in our community, that we don't lose that momentum and we keep it going, because that's the only way we keep improving our community, by both of us working together on issues and problem solving and continuing to make our community better.
Absolutely.
Yes, I agree. I just wanted to say thank you for all the nice things that you've been doing for the city of Concord over the years. And even though Lydia and I are moving away, we're still going to come into town and take advantage of the benefits and services and entertainment and that sort of thing.
I hope you're not moving too far, Scott.
Nope.
Not far enough that we can't come by from time to time.
Okay.
Yep.
You're not going
Yeah,
off
We
to the
enjoy seeing you at many of the city's activities.
Music in the park.
You're not moving to Idaho then. That sounds good.
No, they're just moving a little bit up the street, so not far.
Oh,
They're
great.
moving to the country.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, thank you and
Thank
your
you.
wife for all that you've done also for the Dina neighborhood. So we appreciate all of your efforts. And I know it's got it. Now, unfortunately, Colleen didn't tell you that in order to leave your role, you have to find somebody to backfill it.
Yes. Yes.
You know what? I'll just nod and say that I did and see what happens. How's that?
Thank you.
Well, thank all of
Thank-
you. I appreciate it. And
you very
thank you to
much.
the YouTube listeners out there as well and watchers. Again, continue to work together as a community so that we can all work together from a council and the Dina neighborhood as well to keep going forward.
Thank you very much, Laura. I appreciate you so much. So
Oh.
appreciate you. You have a great evening too, okay? And
Thank you.
wonderful evening. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, so next, my screen will move for me. We are going to bring up Andrew Pierce, by the way, who is from a mosquito vector, and I'm going to try to see if I can do this while I'm here. I'm going to make Andrew a host because he's got a presentation for us. So we're going to make him the host now and let him go. Well, welcome, Andrew.
Hi there. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Well, thank you, first of all, to Scott for asking me to speak, and thank you, Colleen, for meeting up with me a little bit before the meeting to go over some things and give me a quick primer on how to share my screen via Zoom. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for being in attendance virtually, of course. I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen. Let's see if this works here so I can do my
There
presentation.
you are. Yay.
Okay. Can everyone see that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Quick question is, are people seeing the presentation with the black screen around it?
We are at this time.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now are you seeing it full screen?
Yes.
Okay.
Mostly full screen, yes.
Okay. I think we're good here. All right. So Scott had asked me to speak to the association tonight about predominantly rat and mouse prevention and control, which of course is the title of my presentation. But I also just wanted to quickly touch upon the agency where I work. For those who aren't familiar, I am with the Contra Costa Mosquito and Vector Control District. We are a special district, meaning that we are funded by way of property and benefit assessment taxes. Our services are for all Contra Costa residents. However, our agency, our public health agency, is actually separate from Contra Costa County government. We have been and we will forever be mistakenly lumped in as being a part of county government, and it's understandable as to why, just because I think our name, the fact that we have the words Contra Costa in it, tend to lead people to believe that we are part of county government. But again, we are an independent special district, and our services are funded predominantly by way of property and benefit assessment taxes. Our services for Contra Costa residents are specific to rats and mice, skunks, ground nesting yellow jackets, and of course, mosquitoes. But what I'm going to talk to you folks tonight about is rat and mouse issues that can be a potential problem here in Contra Costa. And I wanted to also, before I begin, let everyone know that the long name that our public agency has, the Contra Costa Mosquito and Vector Control District, well, we use the word vector to define insects or animals that can transmit disease or cause discomfort to people or other animals. And so rats and mice are, of course, no exception. And I'll explain a little bit more about that in a moment. And I want to start by talking about the fact that the rat and mouse species we have here in Contra Costa County, we define them as being commensal, which means the rats and mice that we have, they are partially dependent on people for at least part of their food sources or shelter. So they rely on us to, leave some food out, maybe not throw our garbage away all the time, and also make our properties a little bit more hospitable in which for them to live in. I'll talk more about that. Again, we consider these guys to be a vector, and the reason we do is because for several reasons. They are actually capable of spreading disease through their urine and their droppings. I apologize for bringing that up, but that's just what they do. Unfortunately, is they have no control of their urine or their droppings, and if they come into contact with our water or our food supply and we ingest that, it can make us sick. Another reason is rats and mice, they actually cannot clean or groom themselves. So their fur becomes pretty dirty pretty quickly. And they can also attract fleas and mites. And of course, that can become a problem. The other reason is these guys, especially rats, they they are constantly looking for something to chew and gnaw on. Their bottom teeth or their incisors never stop growing. So their bottom teeth are constantly growing, and these guys instinctively know that they have to chew and gnaw on various items such as wood, thin sheet metal, soft concrete, glass. They chew and gnaw to keep those teeth filed short. Well, sometimes they can chew on things like live wire, and of course that can cause a problem by way of potentially starting a fire, and that does happen. So besides structural damage from their chewing and gnawing, they can even potentially chew through live wires and cause a fire. So let's talk a little bit more about rats and mice and ways that residents can discourage them from taking an interest on or in your property. These guys attempt to access structures and houses, and they do so because they're searching for food and shelter, especially during the colder months of the year. So I was checking the forecast earlier, and I saw that we may get some significant weather changes starting this coming weekend. We might get a little bit of rain, hopefully, of course, especially for folks who are dealing with all these fires. That would be great news. But with that also comes a temperature change. So rats and mice, they actually, in a lot of ways, behave a lot like humans do. And I know that sounds kind of odd. So let me explain. These guys, they're looking for a place that's warm and dry and where there's food. So of course, what better place to try to get onto or into than a residential property. So as the weather changes, the colder months of the year, that's when we see heightened rat and mouse activity. So we tell folks, prevent rats and mice from showing any interest in further investigating and pursuing entry onto your yard or the outside or inside your home. First and foremost, eliminate any food and shelter opportunity. That's number one. And as far as shelter opportunity is concerned, with the outside of your home, check around your property. Make sure that your landscaping is well maintained. If there's anything that's overgrowing, especially vines, up and along the sides of your home, trees that are growing up and above your roof line, you want to keep those trimmed back and maybe consider cutting back your climbing vines, because rats are excellent climbers. They can crawl up along pipes, raised stucco, and if you've got a vine or a tree that's growing up and over your roof line, that's just easy access for them. And then as far as food is concerned, these guys are opportunistic, meaning that they eat just about anything. And some of their favorites include citrus fruit, so lemons, limes, oranges, spilled birdseed, which is an absolute rat's favorite. We tell people, if you've got bird feeders out there, make sure you clean up any spilled seed, and absolutely do not leave pet food outdoors, because that's just an invitation for rats and mice to come in your backyard and have a nice meal. So sticking with the exterior of your home, other things we tell residents that they can check for is any holes or breaks in vent screens along the foundation level of your home, and even up maybe under the eaves. Make sure all your vent screens are in good working condition. Sometimes even go up to the vent screen and just give it a little poke, or kick it with your foot, just to make sure that it's secure. When my wife and we bought our house about 10 years ago, and I went around and kicked all the vent screens, and they all seemed fine, and I actually wound up finding one that you just gave a little bit of a push and the screen just went right through. So we had to do some repair there. But check the exterior of your property for any failed weather stripping along the bottoms of doors, especially doors that lead out to your side yard, maybe from the garage. And speaking of garages, check your garage door itself. Check the weather stripping that's along the bottom of garage doors. Make sure that those are in good working order. They're not worn or missing. And also, it seems so obvious, right? But make sure your pet doors are secure. Yes, rats and mice know how to use a pet door, and they will gain entry into your home. That's probably the easiest way for these guys to come in, is by way of an unsecured pet door. So really, in addition to eliminating food sources and making sure that your landscaping is kept trim and sparse, check for any gaps, holes, or openings around your property that are about the size of a quarter or larger. Yes, I'm talking about a quarter as in what I've got pictured there at the lower right side of the screen. Because if rats, you know, they can get pretty large, but if they can't fit their way through an opening, they will chew their way through. They have extremely strong teeth, and if they sense that there's food or a shelter opportunity on the other side of where they're investigating, they will do their best to chew their way through to gain access. So let's go ahead now and talk a little bit more about discouraging these guys from the inside of your property. Again, like the outside, check everywhere inside of your property for any openings, gaps, holes that are about the size of a quarter or larger. And specifically, I'm talking about, you know, inspecting under sinks, around piping there, in your heater closet, the attic, around your hot water heater, behind the washer and dryer, around your garage, you know, anywhere where there's pipes connecting to drywall. If there's any gaps or openings, you want to make some repairs to that drywall. You want to seal those openings. You know, don't give these guys an opportunity to gain access to the interior of your property by way of these openings. So of course, you know, signs of rat and mouse activity, some are obvious. So I put the most obvious at the top, which is droppings. I'm sure we've all come across these at some point. And as you can see in the picture here, mouse droppings are much smaller than, say, rat droppings would be, but you know, that's a pretty telltale sign of a rat or mouse issue. Other signs include gnawing or chewing, nesting, an odor. If you smell, you know, urine, it's a very strong odor, and also sounds. If you hear, you know, maybe squeaking, you know, coming from the walls or the ceiling. But also another sign of rat and mouse activity that a lot of people don't realize is what we call rub marks. And I had mentioned earlier in the presentation that rats and mice cannot clean or groom themselves. So their fur becomes very dirty very quickly, and also becomes greasy. So as they travel from one location to another, they will leave behind these grease marks, or what we call rub marks. So as you can see in the picture here with all these red arrows, this looks to be looks like under eaves. This looks like to be an exterior shot of a residence, and that looks like some electrical conduit. But that conduit is serving as a runway for the rat to travel. So where you see those brown spots, those are rat rub marks, and that's coming from its fur. Let me just talk very briefly with respect to trapping. We tell residents, you know, if you've got a rat or mouse issue inside of your property, we recommend that you make sure you conduct all exclusion work beforehand. You want to make sure you seal up any of those gaps or holes or openings. And then you want to go about using just the good old-fashioned snap traps. They work great for rats and mice. We do not recommend the use of rodenticides or poison inside of your home, especially because if rats or mice eat the poison and they end up dying somewhere that's inaccessible, say like, you know, in your wall or something, you're going to have that smell of a dead rat or a dead mouse for weeks, if not months. And I don't know if anyone's ever experienced that smell, but I hope you haven't, because it's horrible. It's a really bad smell. Trapping for rats specifically requires a strategy that we call pre-baiting. You want to pre-bait snap traps. The reason is rats are what we call neophobic, which means even if there's a food source available to a rat in an area, they will initially hesitate to approach that food source and eat it. It'll take them a couple of days to actually eat the food. They'll approach it very cautiously. Neophobic means somebody who's shy, you know, is apprehensive about new things that are introduced into their environment. So pre-baiting basically is using a snap trap, putting food, you know, on the trap, but not setting it. So you want to place that, of course, where you had previously discovered potential rodent activity. You want to bait the trap, but without setting the snap trap. You want to wait about 5 to 7 days and allow the rat time to feel comfortable around the trap. And you actually want the rat to take the bait. You want that food to be eaten. And when you check the trap and if the bait has been taken, replenish the bait, this time setting the trap. So a lot of people think that, if there's a problem, they just take a snap trap, put some bait on it and set it right away. And that can actually cause a problem, because if the trap goes off and doesn't catch the rat will not return to that area. It'll realize that that is dangerous, that there's a threat, and it will go somewhere else. So basically what I'm telling everyone here is that rats, their intelligence is greatly underestimated. They are extremely intelligent. Now for the monitoring part of your trapping program, after they've been eradicated from the inside of a home, we recommend that you conduct a 6-month follow-up monitoring program, which basically involves pre-baiting those snap traps once again without setting the traps. Check those unset traps about a week after you've set them up with the bait. If that bait is still there, then that means that no rats or mice are present. So we tell folks you want to exclude, trap, and then monitor for rats and mice in that order. As I'm coming to the conclusion here, just want to go over some quick safety tips. If you do need to deal with cleaning up droppings or having to dispose of dead rats or mice, of course, first and foremost, you want to wear rubber gloves. We ask that you spray the droppings or even the dead mouse or rat with a disinfectant, Lysol, or maybe a water bleach solution is sufficient. Mop up the droppings with a wet paper towel. You don't ever want to vacuum or sweep the droppings. If you do need to deal with disposing a dead rat or mouse, pick it up with an inverted plastic bag. So, use like a Ziploc baggie to, help you remove the animal. We recommend using 2 bags, seal that bag up, and then place it in the trash. And then, of course, dispose of the rubber gloves and then vigorously wash your hands. So as I'm wrapping up here, I want to let everyone know that our public health agency is more than happy to come out and assist Contra Costa residents with any rat or mouse issues on their properties at no additional charge. We'll come out, we will do a free inspection of your property. We'll also provide, upon request, a written report of what our findings are and what our recommendations are. So if you think you've got a problem and you don't really know where to start, I highly recommend you start with us, because again, we are funded by way of property and benefit assessment taxes. So this is a prepaid service essentially. There will be no additional charge for this inspection and for a report. So we provide some really helpful information, and we can pinpoint exactly what's going on at your residence. And if you can't solve the problem on your own after one of our inspectors comes out and does their thing, you can use that written report that we've provided when consulting with private pest control, so that you can tell a private pest control company, hey, I had an inspection, I had mosquito and vector control out, and they told me I've got rats and they're only in my garage. So, this is where I would like you to please make sure you focus your efforts. So I think that also really helps give some folks peace of mind. You can request service by calling or going to our website to request service, and I'll have that on the last slide. Also, just wanted to provide this as a resource for more information. You can go to our website. It's ContraCostaMosquito.com. And for specific information regarding rats and mice, you can go to our website, /rats_mice.htm. There's all kinds of great information, including this brochure, this booklet that we hand out to all of our residents after an inspection. You can access this booklet anytime on our website for free, of course. It's got great information. It talks much more about how to properly use a snap trap, how to do proper pre-baiting. Basically, it goes into much more detail about everything that I've talked to you about this evening. And with that, I am at the conclusion of my presentation. I thank you all so much for your attention. I'm going to get out of the screen here, and I'm going to attempt to once again make Colleen the host. Let's see if I can do this here.
And we've got several questions from YouTube. So once I become host
right.
again, we'll be good. We'll
All right,
ask
Colleen,
these
I think I tried to make you the host. Did it work?
Let me see. Nope, not yet. Yeah, it looks like I might be host again. Yay.
Okay,
Yeah, looks that way.
great.
Just making sure. Whoops.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, I am host again. Awesome. Okay, So we do have a few questions for you, and
Great.
and I'm going to do the YouTube ones first, and if there's any on the other one, we'll check it out. Okay.
Thank you,
Someone wanted to mention that they're live traps, so they don't want to kill anything. And Phil and I'm on their side, by the way. So they want to know on live traps, how far away from the home should you let the rat go or mouse go? They've been going over the hill by the Naval Weapons Station to let them go on the one they had. So what's your recommendation about live?
I actually don't have a recommendation. If that's what a resident wants to do, that's totally to their discretion. But you know, I can't provide any kind of specific feedback with respect to how far somebody should go. You know, our public health agency deals specifically with, you know, educating residents about how to make their property the least attractive to rats and mice as possible. And just to kind of quickly expand on that point, you know, we have a neighbor that's behind us that, you know, has a real unkempt yard, overgrowth. They put bird seed out on this big platform and everything comes in to eat it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's pretty much within their right to do so. And what I tell people is, you know, that yard is ideal to rats and mice. Now, our yard, we try to really, you know, keep it cleaned up as much as we can. I have 3 kids, so cleaned up as much as we can. But it's really about just trying to make your yard the least hospitable and inviting to rats and mice as possible. So if they want to use live traps, again, that's to their discretion. But again, the problem is that rats and mice, you know, again, they can cause property damage. They can transmit bacterial food poisoning like illnesses. They can make people sick. So
Gotcha.
anyway.
Okay. So yeah, I had that problem, by the way. My back neighbor had a big gigantic bird feeder, not living there anymore, and they cleaned it up. But I would look out in my backyard and there would be rats crawling across the fence, and it was like freaked me out. Totally. But she's not there anymore. They've cleaned up the yard. It seems good here now, so I'm good.
That's good.
The next question was, you obviously said no poison inside the house, but
Right.
the concern was poison outside the house, that it might injure owls or cats. Do you just say no poison that maybe uses the?
Well, if folks are going to choose to use a rodenticide, we would recommend that they use it in a what's called a bait box or a bait station, which is something that the rodenticide is contained within the box, and it keeps non-target animals out of it. It's only accessible to rats and mice. But you know, if folks want to opt not to use rodenticides at all, again, it's really about eliminating food opportunities and shelter opportunities. If you don't have that available to rats and mice, they may come and investigate your yard a little bit. You might still see them running along your fence line, but the hope is that they're going to keep going. They're not going to stop and try to set up shop in your backyard. And again, you know, if there are any potential issues and residents aren't exactly sure where to start, but they know that they've got a rat or a mouse problem and they live in Contra Costa, then I highly recommend they get in touch with us as kind of their first stop to helping them solve their problem.
Okay, so this isn't about rats or mice on this particular question. This is about mosquitoes.
Okay.
So mosquitoes, they want to know if we've had any mosquito diseases in our area recently.
So we have
West Nile.
Yes. So we do have West Nile virus, which is a mosquito-borne illness that can make people sick. We've had it here in Contra Costa County since 2000. I think it first showed up in Contra Costa in 2004 or 5. I always have to go back and look, but we've had it since for a while, and it's endemic. It's here to stay, and we have had some West Nile activity in Contra Costa County this year, predominantly out in the eastern part of Contra Costa. So predominantly in places like Brentwood and Discovery Bay. But, you know, we always tell folks, especially during, you know, mosquito season, always, you know, use a repellent, make sure your window and door screens are in good shape, dump or drain any stagnant water that's on your property. And again, like with rats and mice, if you're seeing a mosquito problem in your neighborhood and you need some help trying to figure out where these issues are coming from, that's a service that we provide as well at no additional charge.
Wonderful. Thank you. Those are the questions I had so far.
Okay.
Come out with any more, so I think we're good.
Yeah, I just had a few for you, Andrew. So
Sure.
your public agency is, funded, through revenues, but you're not with the county, but I'm taking it that your boundaries mirror those of the county?
Yes, that's correct.
I see. And what was that list of vectors again?
So our public health agency deals specifically with mosquitoes, rats and mice, skunks, and ground nesting yellow jackets.
That's right. Okay, so possums or raccoons wouldn't figure as
No,
vectors?
yeah, so yeah, our agency does not deal with raccoons, possums, moles, gophers, squirrels. That's all. Those are all animals that you would need to consult with a trapper or a private pest control company.
Yes, sir. Your mandate is very specific. Thank you.
Yeah, it is. You're welcome.
I have a question.
This is my wife, Lydia.
Hi there.
My question is, how do you tell husbands not to bring those boxes from the outside into the house? That there still may be like rats in them?
I'm not fielding that one. I'm pleading the fifth on that one.
It's
Sorry.
it's an inside joke. She just wants to dig. She wants to do a dig.
No, he did bring a box in and it had a live rat.
Oh,
Boy.
dear.
He was washing the box out. I just want it to be known that, please, husbands, do not bring boxes in the house to wash.
It's on the record.
It's on the
On the
record.
record.
On the record. Does anybody else in my Zoom world have any questions? It doesn't look like it. Okay. Well,
Right.
Andrew, I am so appreciative of you.
Sure thing.
And
Thank you, Colleen, and thank you, Scott.
being
Nice to
here
see you
with us.
guys virtually, and hopefully
Thank you,
I'll get to see you guys.
Andrew.
Hopefully, I'll get to see you in person pretty soon.
yes, really. Hopefully.
Yes. Well, we're leaving town, but we hope to swing by for Dana Night Out, and we'll touch base with you then.
That'd be great. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a great night.
Thank you. You take care.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye now.
Guys, wonderful. So I just wanted to, again, thank you guys. We're going to be giving away some prizes really soon, so don't hang up yet.
Ticket to the game?
No, I wish it was, but there is no A's games. But hopefully they won today, or they're winning. No, I guess they lost today. I hope they win tomorrow. But anyway, so we do want to first of all thank our volunteers who help out so graciously for us again, but also you all, everybody in Dana Estates. Because of you, we have been able to continue to help and to be able to do all the great things that we do in Dana Estates. From the garage sale, the dumpster day, the Dana Night Out, and that wonderful little virtual thing you saw. Now these in the neighborhood meetings like our virtual one, which we of course had a few minutes problems with at the beginning, and I apologize again for that. But you can always mail your donations to 3957 Beechwood Drive, or if you want to go shopping this holiday season, go to Smile, Amazon Smile, and just look for Dana Estates, and you can be donating some of what you buy to us. Not, well, not the stuff, but portion of what you buy. It won't cost you anything more. It will just be they give us a little portion of what you buy. So you can always do that too. And now we're going to have a drawing. So what I'd like you to do is go to, if you are on YouTube, either write your name in the chat box, or go to dana@danaestates.org. That's DENA at danaestates.org, and put your name in, because we want to know you're here. And I'm going to give it a couple minutes, and I'm going to first of all open up if anybody has any questions for us as far as what we're doing. Any questions? Oh, Marilyn and John. All right. Okay, so I'm going to give it a couple minutes because it takes a couple minutes from there.
I'm still muted.
So I'm going to wait a minute here. All right. So I'm going to stop my video so I can go check something real quick because my daughter's telling me something. So hang on a moment. Anybody putting something in the chat? All right. Okay. Where am I? Where am I? Where am I? There I am. Come on, open. You guys can hear me, but you just can't see me. Okay, there you are. Now I'm back. Okay. So it's, I guess with YouTube is a couple minutes behind, so we're going to get it, but we're going to go ahead and draw for, we're going to basically give away a prize for YouTube, a prize for here on Zoom, and then and see what happens with it. So hopefully we get some people who will put their name in. So the first thing is that we have our Zoom prize, and how we're going to do this is I'm going to draw a name, and I have Marilyn. So Marilyn, you are the winner of the Zoom prize. And how do we know what Zoom prize you're going to get? Well, I've got other numbers here. So I've got 1 through 3. So 1 is Cheese Zombies, 2 is La Cuts, and 3 is the recipe book. So you are going to win, Marilyn, number 2. So Marilyn, you are going to win La Cuts. So you are going to win the La Cuts. And I will be bringing that by your house, okay? Thank you. We've got the names for that. Thank you. My daughter's so good. She's giving me names. So we actually got people from there. I'm going to write them down real quick. Okay, so we're going to give the last second. So the people that are on YouTube, it's time's up. And the winner is going to be Sally Costa. Aha, Sally, you're the winner. Yay. Okay, and your prize, we already had 2. So your prize is going to be number 3. You're going to get this beautiful, beautiful recipe book. So I'm going to run that over to you. It's a beautiful recipe book. And I want to thank Ricky Schaefer for donating this, by the way. And number 3, I'm putting the names, all of them together now. So for the Cheese Zombies, let's see who's going to win that one. Let's see who wins. Okay. There's definitely no more names on that, right? Okay. Aha! Lori, you are the winner of
Oh,
Zombies.
thank
By
you.
your house to drop that off. Okay. So we got 2 people that were on Zoom. So
I guess.
great job. Thank you guys very much. And thank you to Dana Plaza for those 2 wonderful door prizes too.
Oh, I got the G zombie. Nice. Nice.
And I do want to wish everybody a happy Halloween. It's
Ooh,
spooky time.
How do I
So
say thank
definitely
you?
be
It
safe
doesn't
out
show my
there.
picture anymore.
I
There
want
were
you,
arrows before, now there isn't. They're still open. I can't hear her though.
you guys, can you see my screen?
Oh, yes.
Okay, good. So if you, I want you guys to be safe on Halloween. I am going to be basically going live per se. I'm going to do some stuff. So make sure that you take a look at YouTube and make sure you take a look at our Facebook account and also our danaestates.org. So you can see some things that I'm going to be kind of pushing up there for Halloween. If you want, if you want to have your child dress up in their costume and be front and center, you can have them dress up in their costume and just send me something and I can put it up there on the YouTube, or rather on Facebook.
Super cute.
So we can kind of share the costumes that maybe we can't always wear, and yourselves as well. And I also want to see pets, because we are a pet neighborhood. So dress your animal up in a costume, and
Good.
we can have something fun for that. So definitely keep an eye on Facebook, on danaestates.org, as well as
6
on
participants
YouTube.
now.
So with that, looks like we're ending our meeting 15 minutes early, unless anybody has anything they'd like to share. Nope. Okay, well, thank you guys for attending.
Thank you.
And
Thank
have
you.
a great and wonderful and safe evening. Take
Thank
care.
you.
Bye-bye.